What's up, Virgo? So, we're going to do the card description that's in the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck from Adriana Ayales, and and after we'll do the reading, right? And this particular card we pulled was Mugwort, right? That's for psychic healing. Now, dream work, the liminal space, in transition, other realities, clairvoyance, foresight. And all Artemisia family plants are sacred to the Artemis, the moon goddess, and Mugwort is closely linked to the fairy realms. Historically, it has been used to protect against evil spirits, parasitic entities, dark energy, and hexes among a variety of cultures. Mugwort and its extended family are moon allies, and that symbolizes mystical workings of our intuition, dreams, and unconscious mind. The silvery light of the moon illuminates the path, so the higher consciousness winding through La Selva Subterranea, the underground forest. Wait. Okay. Interesting. The moon represents our emotional body, the shadow self, the underworld, the psychic abilities, and the occult. Its dark side can bring on illusions, fear, and feelings of separations and disconnection. Mugwort grants us the strength to work with our shadows and protects us from the parasitic entities that we might encounter as we dive deep into our psyche. Mugwort is a resilient plant that grows in the conditions where other herbs may be unhappy. This bitter herb was traditionally used as a tonic for stomach and intestinal conditions, including as a parasite cleaner and to aid weak digestion and more. The moon is said to directly govern the stomach, the gut in its entirety, and the regulation of fluid in the body. So it is no coincidence that Artemisia, the moon goddess herb, greatly eases chronic stomach and intestinal complaints. This is the guidance section. Artemis, the moon goddess, and her wise white owl meet you as you enter the liminal space between one life phase and the next. Your channel is wide open. She's instructing you now how to draw upon your psychic powers to pass through this test within the realms of the shadow. You are not lost. Oftentimes, the greatest clarity dawns after the darkest hours. Owl medicine asks you to use the powers of keen psychic insight to observe and intuit aspects of your life that may still lay in darkness. Confront that which is unworthy of your devotion, eradicate destructive forces, and pay attention to signs and omens that appear as you navigate the labyrinth of the subterranean forest. There is a lot here I want to say. First off, the idea here of psychic healing in general, I think we may need to understand what we have really attracted, right? So say for instance, the idea of having a vessel that's clouded, right, before we really do any kind of energy clearing. For, let's say, someone with a lot of Virgo energy, this may come in the form of you simply hearing information and not getting really anywhere with the information, but being frustrated for the things that you simply judge at face, at right there, right? And it's not able to kind of filter through you. It's a very, very, it can be very, very annoying and destructive for you. And you need to understand that, right? Like, having and holding that energy does hurt you, right? And regardless of how it may feel in the moment, to simply, if you do have a moment to where you tell someone, hey, look, this is annoying because of X, Y, Z, it feels good, but that particular moment doesn't, the emotions that you inspire, and not allowing that to completely, and not allowing yourself to digest that information completely, that could inspire things, a chain reaction that further hurts you in other ways, right? Regardless of if it feels good to get that off your chest right then and there. And that's this idea of really I think one of the greatest, I think, things that stuck out to me was the idea of the path forward and what you're able to do. And this idea of the Virgo energy, it talks, and it, or not talks, but it has an energy to where things that you may deal with may be things that other people may not necessarily want to deal with, right? But you find it natural to deal with these things. You may have to understand that in terms of how that comes in the future, right? How that comes across in the future, right? The idea of the potential of a pioneer. The potential of a pioneer isn't something that is really debatable, and it can inspire all types of the jealousy for people who really and when I say I really do mean jealousy for people who come after and understand the idea for people who come after, the idea for what they can do, how much they can provide for future generations. They may come to the conclusion that they can never live up to what you've done. And that's a whole, and that's another problem for another time. But I feel like you need to understand that there is value, there is very real value, that hopefully that energy will find somewhere else to kind of start to come about and progress. But what you're able to do, right? We can, if you're some kind of a great painter and what do they call them? You're somebody who's just multi-talented in different areas. You can look at Leonardo da Vinci and think, man, I'll never be like that. It's true, because that Leonardo lived in that time, that energetic environment. That belongs to him. That belongs to Leonardo da Vinci. But what's happening today, this belongs to you. This isn't something that you're going to be able to, leave for other people. And Mugwort is interesting because it lights a path, a very real path forward. And I'm not sure if I got this from the actual reading, or I just know that from the idea. It was used as a lamp, or basically something to something to light on fire, and it would basically be used to see in the dark, right? And that was something that I might have learned on some kind of nature walk or something. But the idea here is that what you do, how you kind of come up, like how you actually move through places where other may not even know or want to traverse, right? And take the time to do what you're doing. It's very real. It reverberates, and it is something that is felt beyond today, beyond this lifetime. And you need to carry that understanding. It's not something that you're going to immediately see in a lot of cases, but it is something that is very much impactful. So understand that there's a way, there's a value in what you're doing now, right? And it's a spectrum of, I call it like, it's a spectrum of light that our current, like our institutional knowledge and our really societal awareness doesn't give monetary value to in a lot of cases. But it is very much there, and it is very much apparent in terms of how it actually comes out and comes out in the future, right? I mean, we didn't know about, there was some kind of cleansiness error in terms of actually like what people did with, like, for instance, like sage cleanses the environment, the air of bacteria in a lot of cases, but and we know that now looking back, but when they were doing it then, it was, it kind of just, it's like, hey, there's something about this that I think is right, you know what I'm saying? And you guys may have that understanding to really do something that you know feels right. And mugwort is, I think another thing that came to me was this idea of it linked to the fairy realms. And I want to say I talked about this before, but the polarity of Virgo, its opposite is the zodiac sign of Pisces. Pisces is the unknown, Virgo is the known. The idea here is that the moving things through this axis, right? So for instance, let's say we took a stopwatch, we went back in time, we were able to tell, like, hey, it's going to get dark in 2 hours. If we were telling people, our ancient ancestors, like, oh, it's going to get dark in 2 hours, they would look at us like, what do you mean like, you can see and predict that? And they would use all types of like mystical language. But now we're looking at that like, okay, if we needed more watches in the world for any reason, then we have the mechanisms and the details to really make that a thing, right? So we can say, okay, well, let's just go here and make more watches. What you're moving in that polarity, how you're moving things in that polarity, you may not have it understood by society, right? But what you're doing, right? The sage was kept up because people kept using it. People kept doing it. Something was about that, right? There was an idea that was kept up, and it got studied to a point to where it became solidly, I would say, it moved from the realm of Pisces to Virgo, that understanding that we gain. What you're doing today, this time belonging to you, it may be something that you have to really, really think about and really start to do, right? In terms of taking information that seems like society would be more skeptical of, and utilizing that information to in a certain way. And of course, this isn't something that you're going to need to necessarily be all all in on, in terms of you go out and live on the street because this is the the right thing to do or whatever. But to how to kind of like baby step into it, even when it seems like, hey, why are you doing that to everybody else? But you have an understanding to where it's just like, something about this is right, something about this feels right. And I mean, you need to have and hold real strength in what you do, and how you do what you do, right? So there's be very much proud of the work you're doing, as if you are being looked at by the future the same way that Leonardo da Vinci was looked on, right? In terms of you're being scrutinized in the same way in terms of what's happening here, because there is work that needs to be done, and there is work that a lot of people don't want to do right now. And you have a very unique energy that makes you very much able to do things that may necessarily drive away other people. So I would say don't shy away from that, and be more attentive to this idea of psychic healing and how you filter information as well. You don't want to interface with something and just have it simply there, have it simply use the kind of the more negative manifestation of what maybe when we talk about the Virgo energy, when we're talking about things like scrutinizing and really just being very, very picky about certain things. You don't want to you want to realize when you're doing that out of the idea of simply being a vessel that's not quite there, not quite healed yet, or not quite clear yet. Understand the concept of energy healing, and understand what you can do when it is healed, and start to develop a stronger value system around that, because there is very real value to the idea of healing, truly speaking and interacting with other people, and in respect to a healed person versus an unhealed person, and what we do and the energy that we inspire, and how it can help us. In any case, Virgo, I'll see you next week, and have a good week.